Hello and welcome to Barry's Game Room. I'm Aaron as always, and depending on when you're seeing this, we are just days away from the launching of The Cure over on the Backerkit, our newest game going up to crowdfunding. In fact, depending on when you're seeing this, like I said, it might literally be up right now. So head on over to Backerkit.com, you can search up The Cure, and even if it's not open yet, you'll find the project there that you can follow to be notified when it does go up. Thursday, May 7th is when the official launch date is. But I figured since the game's about to come up, I could tell you guys a little bit about the history of where this game came from and how we got to where we are now. The original idea for The Cure came in around November, I think, of 2022 or so. Specifically, what I was trying to do was I wanted to come up with just something small, portable, that I could take with me when I got to eat, not specifically, that took up very little space on the table. That was the original idea of what I was trying to come up with. I came up with this game, The Cure, and one of our other games, Rondel, right about the same time. If you haven't heard of it, Rondel's our little abstract strategy game where you're kind of moving poker chips around in a circle. It's pretty cool. It's like one call of it. But I came up with them about the same time. I think maybe this one was first, and I think because I didn't quite get satisfied with... I love the game that I made, but didn't quite fit the original idea I was going for, that I then came up with Rondel later. Let's get to what we're talking about, The Cure. The original idea I had pretty early on for The Cure was to have a hidden role game where most players were trying, the base of the game were always there, where you're playing face down cards to a center pile, trying to reach a certain goal range, and a bad player was trying to mess that stuff up. The original idea I was testing was just with a handful, just took some cards out of a deck of poker cards and played that. I think I gave some, I told out some face cards and said, alright, this face card is the bad one. And then would deal those around the table and then deal out a few, I think aces, twos, and threes were all I was using originally. And there we go, that was the start of the game. I was pretty happy with the base of the game, pretty quick. And as for where the theme came from, I didn't really have a good idea for the theme at all. I kind of put some feelers out there into the little gaming community I'm a part of. If you guys somehow haven't heard, we are part of the Oklahoma Tabletop Game Designers. It is just a group of local game designers from around Oklahoma, and honestly, we have some members that aren't even from Oklahoma, but the whole point is that we're just a bunch of small indie designers that like to get together once a month, or sometimes even more often, for various meetups where we can play test each other's games, show our games off to the public, sometimes talk business about stuff. We have a Discord and a Facebook page and stuff where we all can communicate well. Yeah, stuff like that. And that was where I put some feelers out about what I could do for a theme for this game. And someone there ended up giving us a theme a little darker than what we ended up going with. One of the themes that really caught my attention was someone had a theme about, well, you're all doctors and nurses trying to save the life of someone in an ER who has been injured. They've been shot or something. Because the mafia is after them. You need to keep them alive so they can go testify in court against the mob boss. But the mob boss has apparently tipped someone off, paid someone to go in and sabotage the work you're doing and make sure they don't survive. That was the initial idea someone pitched, and I really loved it, but it was a little dark. And I sort of took the basic idea of like, okay, doctors working on a thing, and then eventually we came around to like, well, if you're just like, working together to make some kind of medicine or something. And we made the more family-friendly The Cure. I still love that super dark one, but it would be kind of hard to market a game that you expect you to play with their kids where like, you gotta keep this guy from dying. And then there's not much with the game from there. We took it out to a lot of playtesting and stuff like that until about spring, I think March of 2024. That is when we first officially published the original print-on-demand version of The Cure. Like I've said in a bunch of these other videos, we've technically had this game available to purchase for a couple years now. If you're not familiar with what the Game Crafter is, it's another website, thegamecrafter.com, where they do print-on-demand versions of the game. They will print off all the cards and grab all the pieces and bits you need for one single copy of a game, box it up, and send it out to people when they buy them. We've had it technically published there for a while, and they're the ones who we've made this version with. We ended up making sure we had it published and bought a handful of copies to take with us to TokenCon back in March of 2024, and that was the first time it became available to the public. Since then, we have tweaked the rules just a little bit. Any game, no game's ever fully done. It's only done when you stop playing it or stopped working on it. And we've played the game a lot more over the years and decided to add more and stuff to it. The only real things that have been added from the original time to its publication was we eventually added these 0s and 4s into the game, which, you know, made it a little easier for the bad player to cause some larger swings. And then we added a 2-player mode. That was what we worked on for the first 2 years. After the game was published, as we worked on it more, we realized we probably needed to tighten up the goal range a little bit. So it went from a 3-number goal range down to a 2-number goal range in the current rule set after, you know, publishing it. And even since then, we've come up with a few new things that are going to be new to this version that you guys can get over on Backerkit. We've added an extended play where you're basically doing a best 2 out of 3, and we've tweaked a few more rules on, like, especially in the 2-player mode to balance that one out a little better. But for the most part, yeah, that's our history of the whole game. Again, been 4 years now. It's crazy for me to think that 4 years ago we came up with the initial idea, got a great idea from some local friends about a good theme that we were able to turn into the game you guys may or may not have experienced. And if you haven't experienced, I greatly recommend you guys checking it out because I have a ton of fun with this game. Oh, I guess one of the biggest things I left out was before we published it, when another friend gave us the idea. Did they give us the idea of the extra? No. We played some other game. We played another hidden role game somewhere along the way that had a possible traitor. And the moment I heard that, my eyes lit up and I was like, oh, I think that's what we need in the Cure. And I will say that is one of these like selling points I always have for the game is I do love the hidden, not the hidden role, the possible traitor aspect of it. So yeah, that's the quick of it all. That's kind of how we've come along with this game. I guess one thing I could have mentioned was, you know, when we make our games, sometimes we hire out, but for this one, we didn't hire out. All the art in this game was actually done in-house by our own Melanie Billiou. Otherwise, that's what we got there. 4 years ago, we had an idea. 2 years later, we initially released that idea out into the world, and now 2 years from there, we are reaching what we believe will be its final form, this beautiful wallet version of the game. And again, as I've said in other videos, this is the base version we'll unlock, and if we get far enough, we'll get to turn this basic PVC wallet into a beautiful leather wallet with this really awesome foil stamp on there. Again, this is bigger than it will be. It'll be down to this size. But hey, we really hope you guys will help us out with that. Again, go over to Backerkit.com where you can follow the Cure. And again, it might already be up, so get it over there. May 7th is when it goes live. Thanks for listening. See you guys there.